Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the next session of the WAFX Awards. Just in case there's anybody sitting here who doesn't quite know what they are, these are future projects which the WAF organisers have thought to be exemplary examples of design attitudes to some of the most pressing problems facing the world today. This session, there'll be two presentations, is on the theme of power and justice, which is a broad theme which could include relationships of class or social group, one to the other, or it could be the relationship between combatants and invaders. But to kick us off, talking about a project which is intended to fight or make a representation of a fight against social exclusion. This project is in Turkey. Please welcome from Emre Aralat Architects, Emre Aralat. Welcome.
Hi everyone. The project that I'm going to present you today is a Cemevi. It means a place to worship for Alevis, who are a minority group, a minority community in Turkey. Okay. This is one of the several projects that we are working on with the Istanbul municipality, the greater municipality. And to be honest, even though these projects somehow don't contribute much financially to the office, I personally give them, let's say, a different level of priority, because the current mayor of Istanbul places a great importance on art and architecture, actually, in a way that we are not quite accustomed to. On the other hand, as an opposition leader, he's working on significant urban projects, let's say, despite all the problems and obstacles from the central government as well. That's why I believe he should be supported without hesitation. Actually, when the municipality brought this project to the office, to us, the first thing that came to my mind was the Sancaklar Mosque that we designed in Istanbul many years ago, I mean more than 10 years ago. And it's for the Sunni Islam, it's not for Alevi. Sunnis are like much more in power for the moment in all over the country. And I still remember the heated debates we had as the design team during the design process about the crisis in the Islamic world, where the core principles of Islam and its philosophy, let's say, were somehow being ignored, and how this was affecting architecture in the whole region. We looked to some examples, including Sheikh Zayed Mosque in Abu Dhabi, which is, we see that this kind of examples are much far away from the idea of humility, which is a key principle in Islamic philosophy. Or another mosque in Oman, Sultan Qaboos Mosque. We see that the investors or people are somehow proud of millions of dollars spent there, or the largest single piece carpet, or some kind of bombastic chandeliers. I can say that the same is valid for Turkey. Over the last 20 years, with the influence of this government, there have been major negative changes in the field of architecture and urbanism all over the country. Let's say lavish and tastelessly designed buildings have spread everywhere, as you can see from the screen. For example, this is the newest landmark project of Istanbul. Another example of this, let's say, governmental architecture delirium or something like this. a copy of the original Süleymaniye Mosque, which is one of the real landmarks of architect Sinan, and built in 16th century. I mean, in this context, I can say that Sunni Islam has become a very dominant force in society day by day. It was the kind of inside of the politics of this government, and humility or humbleness, they were degraded, especially in this community, not just in architectural field, but also socially, with the kind of nouveau riche ruling class influence spreading everywhere in the country. This is exactly why the main focus of the Sancaklar Mosque design many years ago was the concept of humility, an approach that blends with its surroundings. But this time, in the case of Cemevi, needed to be approached in a different way, from a completely different sociological context. Alevism is one of the sects in Islam, and this complex is going to be a place of worship for the Alevi minority, who have been somehow socially and sociologically oppressed, especially in recent time, and Cemevi plays a vital role in their spiritual practices, in their normal life, daily life, safeguarding them for future generations. And the land that municipality allocated for this building is located at the southern part of Istanbul, very near to the old airport, old international airport, so still quite well-known, busy and crowded area. And nearly 10,000 square meter land is being used as a parking lot for the nearby wedding hall located to the west of the site. You can see it now. To the east, there's a green area that is currently used as a small police station, not open to public. But from the very beginning of the design process, we always have seen it as an important potential for this project. And to the north, a highly dense residential and office area is located, as for the south, there's a very busy ring road. During our closer observations in the land, we saw that the function of parking only comes into play occasionally. Most of the time it's used by local residents, especially in the afternoons when the wedding hall's activities slow down. People would gather there to walk or to sit under very few trees for some shade and conversation. This gave us a different inspiration for the space. This is the land. And when we looked at the dense housing and new offices around the area, we realized that there were any public space at all. And again, the land and the adjacent police station area, you see them together, when combined, they form an area of approximately 35,000 square meters. And this is actually very close to the size of some well-known and heavily used parks located in the different areas in the town. On the other hand, this area is easily accessible from both the ring road and other nearby roads. In the section diagram, we can see that the site somehow is a kind of hill for the moment, elevated above the roads, two roads, being used as a parking lot. However, it has the potential to be transformed into a very well-designed park, which would be a kind of a great asset for this area, easily accessible for all the locals. While these thoughts, somehow we were thinking about these, we were envisioning Eduardo Chiliada's work, where he somehow brilliantly addresses the issues of art, space, abstraction, and soul. And he mentions that with its abstract existence, the space which he created in Tindaya, Mount Tindaya, is a kind of statue of tolerance for people of all colors and races. And inside, no one is different from another. That was a big inspiration for us. These are some first sketches of us. The idea of, I mean, one more time, the idea of breaking away from the essence of Islam was not an option at all. However, I had this feeling that a sense of monumentality, together with dignity and calm, needed to be present in this place of worship. At first glance, I can understand that these might seem like some conflicting terms and ideas, but as the design team, we somehow wondered if these elements could actually complement each other in this specific project. Okay, in addition to the idea of transforming the upper ground into the public park, we decided to place cemevi functions under it at a level where they can be accessed directly from the dense residential area, and organize them around several courtyards. Each one will serve a different function and reflect various rituals and activities of worship and daily life. This image reflects this connection between the courtyards, the park, and the main room, main cemevi courtyards. A night view. And some car park spaces, 1 or 2 floor, together with the service areas, will be positioned under the main room. And these are the plans of ground floor and the basement level. You see the fluidity of the arrangement. The semi-open pedestrian alley connecting all the functions and somehow getting sunlight through a slit. And you see the main section from the main gem square and connected courtyard. The cemevi, the worship area, the main worship area from inside and outside. This one is from the park level. And the entrance of semi-open pedestrian alley. One of the courtyards, an element that we somehow interpreted by learning from tradition. And I'm very happy that to design this kind of building for a community that has been somehow wronged and, let's say, marginalized for years and years, for hundreds of years in the country. This was incredibly exciting for us. Thank you.
Emre, thank you very much for that. And next up, with a peace project in the Philippines, please welcome Sweeto Designs.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you all. So, the Maguindanao province has this Capitol building, and this is the location of the site. No? This site has a perception that is often cast through the lens of conflict in the Philippines. For international tourists and even fellow Filipinos, Maguindanao may appear as a marked red zone in our maps because it is always perceived as conflict or war or having a violent family feud. Recently, through a momentous plebiscite held in September 2022, Maguindanao province was divided, giving rise to the now Maguindanao del Norte. This division represents not just a change in administrative boundaries, but a pivotal opportunity to forge a province that reflects peace. Because this is a very new province, there has to be a capital building, and so our work has gladly begun. The location of the site of the new capital building is located in an area where 2 vital roads converge, one leading to the heart of the province, and the other leading to a bustling agricultural hub, which used to be the seat of rebellion in the area. The very site of the building also holds significance because this is where those who surrendered their arms once laid down their arms. And so we thought of the design of the capital that must embody the significance of the site, which is hope and regeneration, and it made us look into the values or the principles of peace building. Upon academic research, with various peace building workers in the region, we found out that peace building has 4 major principles, which are imbibing cultural sensitivity, reforming institutions, encouraging people to communicate, and finally, repairing relationships. These principles were the moving force of what would be the design of the new Capitol building. To imbibe cultural sensitivity, the design has to reflect a symbol that is deeply rooted to the cultural identity of the Magindanaoan people, especially that of its leaders, because this is where the governor sits. And so we had several symbols in mind, like the foglong string instrument and all the other symbols, but upon a participatory design process, we found out that the most prominent symbol of the Maguindanao leaders is that of the tubao, or a headcloth, worn by the esteemed elders of the community. In fact, when we join parties or any events, you'd see the leaders wearing this specific tubao or headgear. It was then very important that this symbol had to be used in the Capitol design. But to translate the tubao into architecture, we studied its several kinds of folds and analyzed which fold was the most appropriate. First, we analyzed it based on the theory of symmetry and peace. Historically, monuments and important landmarks have often been designed symmetrically with a center access point because this usually connotes peace. And so we decided to use the upright fold because it showed symmetry in design and the sector axis and also showed power, which is what this building is also all about. The second analysis, what we did was also on sustainability. How do the different folds create a sustainable form that would make a building efficient? So the building was facing east, so the amount of sun shading needed had to be its maximum efficiency. We analyzed the sun path, and we found that the upright fold was the most appropriate. This also made us possible to create decks where goers can view the sunset from the west at the back after a day's work to relax. It also enabled us to put banquet areas for moon sightings during Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, which are very prominent events in Maguindanao culture, because this is composed of 90% Islam, which is a minority in the Philippines, around 10% only. Just move forward with that. So the upright fold also showed a cohesive and symmetric form, but enabled fenestrations at the northeast and southwest sides, which is the Habagat and Hamian in the Philippines. So this made it possible for us to enable breeze to come in and make the entire building cooler. It also allowed for rainwater catchments in areas going to the cistern. Part of the process of designing was to do an FGD, or a focus group discussion, with the community. And one aspect that arose was the fact that they wanted to bring back this industry of carving, which is called the okir, or the traditional rectilinear and curvilinear plant-based design and folk motifs only found in Mindanao or in the area. So adding it to the facade of the building was a must. This would be done by the community themselves to bring back this dying craft. So we placed it in the front, or the east side, to create a vibrant effect and also a socio-economic benefit to resuscitate love for heritage back to the entire community. Reforming institutions was also a core peace-building principle that profoundly shaped the Capitol's design, so it had to be centered on transparency. The building features glass walls in every office, eliminating traditional barriers and ensuring full visibility in government operations. The open plan layout fosters trust and accountability, allowing citizens to see how decisions are made and policies are crafted, which is very far from the usual government centers in the Philippines. Reforming institutions also means that the spaces we create had a good flow, so there's a central core axis to connect each floor. So when the governor goes up, he is seen by his constituents and vice versa, or you'd see who went in late and went out early. Another peace-building principle that we used was on encouraging people to communicate. So we believe that it is in talking and drinking a cup of coffee, like these kinds of activities where people come to terms and communicate. So in designing the building, we created spacious lobbies with vibrant hubs for interaction, placed with open layouts and comfortable seating. So these lobbies could be meaningful spaces for exchange. These lobbies would have indoor gardens that serve as serene waiting areas because we believe nature has healing properties, and it's very close to their culture because there used to be rebels in the area living in forest areas. Well, we want to encourage people to communicate. The last peace-building principle that we had to use was to resolve the conflicts, to repair the relationship. That is why the spaces within are deliberately designed for conflict resolution and constructive dialogue. By blending the elements, we had a dual purpose for this building, a governance building and a hub for community engagement. We provided meeting rooms in areas of every floor. These areas or meeting rooms crafted are to support a range of activities from formal discussions, informal gatherings, ensuring that every interaction can be conducive for the environment. These meeting rooms are furnished with transparent glass and different Maguindanaoan local materials and products such as the inauwi, which is what I'm using right now, and the kapbalal sa ika mats at the ceiling and walls as a reminder of their connectivity. These interior elements are not just for aesthetics, but reminders that they're all chained, linked, and connected in various senses of lineage, whoever or wherever we are. It allows shared heritage with the neighbors and even the interiors of Maguindanao. They're reminders that peace should always be the end goal. To end my presentation, Maguindanao del Norte Provincial Capital is not just about architecture. It's also a symbol of hope and resilience of the Maguindanaoan people. It embodies the struggle to opportunity, from division to unity, from conflict to peace, and it reaffirms their commitment to a future where cultural heritage thrives alongside progress. Thank you and good afternoon.